All right, welcome back to another edition of the Horseman Pro Football Talk podcast. I'm Brad.
And Hefe.
All right, it's another really big game. It doesn't, it does have playoff implications, I guess. But, the hot story is, Hefe, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a quarterback controversy in New York. Which is weird because that usually only happens with losing teams that are spiraling out of control, and they do everything they can to salvage it, to stop the bleeding, exsanguation, which there's a new word for you that means to bleed profusely. But the Jets are still very much in the thick of things for a playoff spot. This is how I feel about quarterback controversies. I hate quarterback controversies. I don't think there's any use for them. I think if you're 3-7, don't start fucking around with your locker room, right? Pick your guy. At that point, if you're 3-7, if you're going to change. If you're not, stick with your guy. This is different. This intrigues me, man. I am like all into this. I'm watching Robert Saleh. This is fascinating because he made a change and it paid off. And so he got what he wanted because it paid off, but now he's got a quarterback controversy with a team that is primed to go to the playoffs, and both quarterbacks maybe can take him there. All four AFC teams are in the hunt. The Patriots, I think right now, are on the bubble. They're in one spot on the outside looking in. But Mike White came in and threw 300 yards, for 3 touchdowns. He's got 149 quarterback rating. But I want to, for all you young whippersnappers, I remember there was a guy named Craig Erickson that played for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he came into Indianapolis and threw for over 400 yards, lit the whole goddamn place up in the Hoosier Dome. And what do the Colts do? They signed him the next year. You ever heard of him? Exactly. Same thing with a guy named Mike Tomczak. You may have heard his name before. I remember one game, I don't remember who they were playing. He lit the place up. I remember my stepdad saying he may be the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. No. So I'm not down on Mike White. I'm just not sold. One game doesn't. That may be his highlight reel. That may be his Ted Bundy story that he's going to tell his grandkids down the road. When you're playing against a quarterback that you can't prepare for, then there's no film, you've never seen him before, it's hard to know what they're going to do. Mike White played well. I'm not trying to take it away from him. I'm just saying there's a whole lot more going on here. This is not the Bears. This is the Vikings. Mike White's going to start, right?
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, the Vikings are badass, man. I mean, at this point, I not only expect the Vikings to win, but I expect Zach Wilson to be the starter in Week 14, and he may even come in the second half this week. This could get away from the Jets really quickly, unless Mike White comes in and throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Who knows? What do you think?
So I'm a Mike White believer. You know what I mean? Last year, I think Zach Wilson got hurt last season, and Mike White had to come in, threw for 400 plus against the Bengals. And then I remember I think it was a Thursday night game when the Colts played the Jets, and the Colts ended up stomping the Jets, but Mike White started that game. And on the Jets' first drive, took the Jets right down and scored a touchdown, but he had some nerve issue, forced him out the game. And then I don't remember who the quarterback was that they had behind Mike White, but he ends up getting replaced, and when Zach Wilson comes back, he gets the job back. But what I think is happening with the Jets is Mike White's probably going to keep this job rest of the season. Everything we've seen from Mike White every time he started has been great. So I expect Mike White to come in, be able to put up numbers again. Like, that's all we've ever seen from him, is putting up numbers. So except he played the Bills and the Patriots in those games where, two of the best defenses in the league. Didn't look great for him. But the Vikings aren't, a defense to be afraid of, in my opinion. They're all right, but I think you can put points up on them. So I think this is going to be a really entertaining game. I'd like to watch this game this week, if at all possible, because I think Mike White, Kirk Cousins is going to be balling out in this one. But at the end of the day, I just think the Vikings are too much. All right, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, TJ Hawkinson now, Dalvin Cook. The offensive line is great. So, while I do think the Jets' defense is really good, so it's not like the Vikings are going to come in and put a 50 on them. I think the Vikings are good enough to score, 27, 31 points in this game and beat the Jets.
Yeah, I think so too. And so I think the Jets will fall to 7-5. And I'd like to. I mean, we need to remind everyone the Vikings are one game out of home field advantage for the NFC playoffs. I mean, the Vikings got a lot to lose, and I think they know it. And I think, like we've talked about with the Dolphins, this team thinks they can win. I mean, they believe in what they're doing. Minnesota's got to have it, kind of shooting themselves in the foot in the long run. But at this point, I'm rooting for them. I really think they got a good organization here, and Vikings fans deserve it. So let's hope for a good game. But I agree with you. I think the Jets are going to end up falling to 7-5, slipping in the playoff race, and the Vikings are going to step up, continuing in their chase of the Eagles.
Yeah, I didn't really comment too much on the, Zach Wilson being Mitch thing and everything going on with the Jets. I think Robert Salah did the right thing after Zach Wilson's response in the public, because I played linebacker, and the quarterback on my football team in high school, he was garbage. Let's just be honest, he was trash, and if he would have come out and said, "No, I don't think I disappointed you guys," after we had lost to our rival, yeah, we would have been pretty pissed off. So we had talked about, in a previous video, you had mentioned culture being a huge thing in locker rooms. You lose that culture if you let the CEO of the team as the quarterback, if you let that guy keep playing when he's not playing great, and then he goes out and says something like that, the kid has to have accountability. Robert Salah is doing the right thing. I think it's the right thing to put him behind Mike White and let Mike White keep balling out. Again, Mike White, every time he gets in there, balls out. So I think Robert Salah is doing the right thing. I think that keeps the team going. It keeps them on Robert Salah's side, because the players see that and they're like, okay, this guy understands that, this kid just isn't it right now, but Mike White has come in. He said the right things in the media before. He's played good before. Let's go get him. And then he comes out and balls out. You know what I mean? So I think Robert Salah did the right thing, and I think it'll pay dividends, and they'll be able to win games because they have a good defense too. But it won't be this week.
Yeah, so I want to agree with you. I also think it was the right thing. Right thing to say, and I know it may not have sounded like that because I said how I feel about quarterback controversies, and this is the team that's in the hunt. I think not only his performance, but like you said, the press conference. But I think what it does for a guy like Zach Wilson, and he's young, and I think this sends a message. This is what I loved about Brian Flores when he came to Miami. He didn't give a shit who you were. He just started shipping people out. People that weren't fitting the culture, they were gone. And I think Zach Wilson, as development of a player, needed to be benched for that reason. I guarantee you. Well, I don't guarantee you because I've seen crazier shit happen. But if Zach Wilson is smart for the future of his career, he will. I mean, he's already apologized to the team, which is a huge first step, right? And going in and just having some transparency and saying, I'm sorry I said that. I didn't realize what I was saying. I was wrong. I see what it is now. And then getting a chance to think about that. If he really mills that over and he really learns from this, it will make him a much better quarterback. And so Robert Salah's done what he's supposed to do as a coach. It's like a parenting move, right? He's taken the young guy and he's taught him a lesson. It's his timeout. It's his punishment. And again, it worked. I mean, Mike White came in and put the numbers up. So what will get sticky is if Mike White doesn't perform as well. And then we start flip-flopping, going back and forth. And that's when you got to declare a quarterback. And it's easier to do when you're losing to declare your quarterback than it is. It should be. Coaches don't take that route. They use that time to play games and flip back forth the whole freaking season. I think you should grab one guy and stick with him and try to develop that. But it'll be much harder to do when we get down to the stretch and they're 12-3 or 11-3 or 12-4, and they're trying to piece this together and get in the playoffs, and you're not sure who you want to go with. It might get real sticky. But you know how I feel about the Jets? I mean, Jets fans deserve better. I've said that the last 2 years, Jets and Giants fans both deserve better, and they're getting it this year, and I'm happy for them. I'd like to see the Jets do well and get into the playoffs. So I like Robert Salah. I like what he's doing, and I hope that this experiment it looks like it's paid off so far, and I hope it pays off in the long run. He can make the right decisions, and they can keep moving forward and finish out and have a good year.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been biased against the Jets. I don't really like the Jets, so I don't much agree. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not a Jets fan either. I mean, but you know how I feel about teams that just go through beatdowns year after year after year. The fans deserve better. The NFL deserves better. The more parity we have, the more entertaining it is. I hate to just see teams dwell at the bottom of their division year after year after year. So I'm glad.
Which is why this 2022 playoff race is about to be ridiculous.
Yeah, yes, it is.
And I would love to know what you think about this game, what you think is going to happen, who you think is going to win. You let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video.